Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Judge Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, Paul C. Melcher and James Billy Jr. in Penfield Town Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I'm an innocent man. I've been an innocent man my whole life, at 57 years of age. And I have been in jail 6 times. 6 times the prosecutor's not talked in court. Perry Duckles, Deputy District Attorney of Monroe County. You have received from me for 18 months the Freedom of Information law that demands you disclose the names of my prosecutors of silence, and you've been refusing for 18 months. I will hold up registered mail return receipt, Federal Express, and UPS that you've recently received in the last 10 days. I'm telling you, on YouTube after YouTube, to disclose the names of my prosecutors of silence, because I will pursue their disbarment with the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court. A prosecutor assigned to the appearance of defendant in court that does not talk and make an argument, and that defendant is delivered to jail, must be disbarred. So, this is called sexual harassment at Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, and Judge Alex Renzi, because this is the Freedom of Information law. This on December 14th, 2022. I'm going to read 2. For the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office. Title 7 is the federal law that has jurisdiction over sexual harassment in the workplace. And I'm demanding, if you're in compliance with federal law, you hacks and sociopaths at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office, and your nauseating, sick, corrupt bosses, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, who each don't know if they're Republican or Democrat, have refused every single time, because I'm absolutely convinced the answer is yes, which I wasn't saying at first. Then when you're refusing time after time to disclose this information to me, the answer has to be yes. So, on this December 14th, here, this is written in red because psychopaths like the color red. It says here, the cost to taxpayers of Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Michael Rather, Kathleen Miller, William Tadeo, Scott Alberti. What's the answer? This is in your office. Over and over and over, you refused. Freedom of Information law again, same December 14th. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is in your office over and over and over. You refused. Perry Duckles, Deputy District Attorney of Monroe County. What's the answer? Mark Monahan, Second Assistant District Attorney. I believe that's your title. I think you're the number 3, Mr. Monahan. What's the answer? This is federal law. And because since I believe, I'm absolutely convinced that it's Animal House, the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, I believe the answer is yes. If the answer is no, then disabuse me of it. So, this is, again, just in the last 10 days, registered mail return receipt. And I expect some of these to come back to me, like from Monroe County Public Defender Julie Sianka. When I go to my UPS box, it's going to be the envelopes that you returned to me. You refuse to open. That's insane. It's insane for you, Monroe County Public Defender Julie Sianka, and your subordinates, Mark Phillips and Gina Harper, to send my envelopes back to me with demanding public information from you about me. What are the names of my prosecutors? Julie Sianka, Gina Harper, Mark Phillips. This is information that you don't have. That you can't, this is information that you do have. You can't claim that you can't locate it. What is wrong with you? It is astounding and sickening to me that the public defender of Monroe County will not disclose names to me of prosecutors in a public proceeding funded by the taxpayers. So your names are on here. I'm not going to read all these names because I already did that. That's registered mail return receipt. What are the names of our prosecutors? This is UPS on April 3rd and March 30th. All your names are on here. It's Psychopaths Incorporated. You'll never know you're psychopaths. And I began using Federal Express here, and you can see the receipt here. This is 2 days here. If I could look at this, is February 28th and April 11th. So 6 weeks apart, February 28th, April 11th. What names are prosecutors? Now, when I show you FedEx, UPS, registered mail return receipt, which I just did, what you have received is this document here, the FOIL that I just read, December 14th. That FOIL, I'm telling you, discloses the names of my prosecutors and if there's sexual harassment at the district attorney's office. Those two FOILs I read, for the sheriff's office and district attorney's office under Title VII, are also in this one here. That's January 10th. Those FOILs that I read about sexual harassment at the district attorney's and sheriff's office are here. This one is January 8th. Those FOILs I read about sexual harassment at the district attorney's and sheriff's office are here. This is December 22nd. Those FOILs that I read, are in your office. This is December 28th. Those FOILs that I read, this is in your office. This is January 5th. Are in your office. This is January 18th. Those FOILs I read about sexual harassment, it's in your office. Those FOILs that I read January 28th are in your office. So if I lean over here, over and over and over, no refusing. That's corruption. The hypocrisy of you psychopaths at the district attorney's and sheriff's office is astounding because you demand information every day. And I called a previous YouTube information. Just went with a basic word. I will use language on here to be inflammatory because I'm trying to enrage you psychopaths because you're easily enraged. The information I was demanding that day was disclosure by names of prosecutors in a public proceeding that have never talked for me. So, do you know what sexual harassment is? Michael Radler at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Do you know what sexual harassment is? Perry Duckles at the district attorney's office. Because if your answer is, I know it when I see it, that's absolutely ludicrous. I have seen this in the workplace. As I worked for Majority Leader and Governor in Albany for 8 years, a long time ago in the 1990s. I worked on Capitol Hill for 5 years for Congressman Morris Smith and Senator Olympia Snow. Staffers talk. When I worked on Capitol Hill, I used to go to this bar called Bull Feathers. It's called Bull Feathers because former President Theodore Roosevelt didn't like to say bullshit. He would say Bull Feathers. And this would be a gathering place, especially on Saturday afternoons. And staffers talk. And I have heard story after story that I will not repeat here. And it really is sickening that a duly elected member of Congress is harassing staff because it's the member of Congress that harasses the staff. And it's the staffers that harass staff, like a chief of staff. I heard about this one chief of staff who was really an animal. And that's what you are at the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office. You're animals. The things that I was told about this one chief of staff, the emails that he was sending, the language he was using in the office was reprehensible. So, this here is Monroe County Sheriff's Office salaries right here. This is district attorney's office salaries right here. So at the district attorney's office, I'm going to go with an employee that's not a high salary employee. I would say a high salary employee is someone that makes less than, or someone who is at the lower end of the salary is less than $75,000. So here is Michelle Schaefer at 43,109. I don't believe you're going to be copied on here, Michelle Schaefer, but have you been sexually harassed as you understand the term at the district attorney's office? Someone here I am going to copy is Elizabeth Buckley, who last time I checked is the assistant district attorney in charge of local court. So I have that right, Elizabeth Buckley. What are the names of my prosecutors, Elizabeth Buckley? When I asked the same question of Kyle Steinbach, who I copied on here is now as a private law firm, he refused to tell me. So Elizabeth Buckley for $131,416. You make $1,000 less than Todd Baxter. As you understand the term sexual harassment, you aware of sexual harassment at the district attorney's office, Elizabeth Buckley. Women talk, women will confide in each other based on my experience. They will tell their female co-workers things about men in the office they would never tell a man because they've been violated by a man. Their rights have been abridged by a man. Why are they going to go to a man and confide in a man? That's a co-worker. I'm not talking about a friend or a family member. So how would you describe the environment at the district attorney's office? Oh, this is Buckley. Is it professional? Is it cordial? Do you treat each other with the dignity, the heart, and soul that every human being deserves in life? What's the answer? The validation that you're breaking federal law with sexual harassment at the district attorney's office is if your boss has settled a lawsuit under Title VII. I looked that up. I read the law. Now, I don't have the arrogance and right about everything. I believe the Title VII is the law of sexual harassment because I was Googling it and reading it. So there's also an equal opportunity commission. I think they're in Washington, D.C., and I think Albany has an office for this too, for state laws. I'm going to contact them. When I contact the EEOC in Washington, D.C., and whatever the organization of bureaucracies in Albany, I'm going to tell them you're refusing. I believe that if a regulatory body or institution in Albany and Washington, D.C. contacted you psychopaths, the district attorney's office, sheriff's office, and demanded what I'm demanding of you right now, you would refuse. So you have here the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to read the last salaries. Gregory Clark, 114. Jennifer Hyatt, 124. Amanda Bowling, 124. Eleanor Biggers, 118. Scott Miles, 120. Charles Dominic, 107. Patrick Gallagher, 124. Rachel Clark, 124. Now, Jennifer Hyatt, you were 124, and you Amanda Bowling at 124. You, because of your salary and your prominence, are less likely to be a victim of sexual harassment because of your salary and your prominence. That's why. Someone here that's making a salary that's half of yours is more likely to be a victim. On the second page, here is Lori Mastrocolo at $19,913. I don't have her email, but she's a part-time employee. Perhaps you would know about sexual harassment at the district attorney's office. So what's the answer? Tell me what the answer is. So this is the Monroe County Sheriff's Office payroll here. I don't believe I'm going to go to a second, third, or fourth page here. Now the second name is Kristen Cavallaro at $60,594. Kristen Cavallaro being sexually harassed in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Kathleen Miller, since I have your email and your salary, I believe it's $34,000. Have you ever been sexually harassed in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? I've asked you this previously. And what you're thinking when I ask you something like that, who the hell are you and what are you asking me that question for? And you should be arrested. This is the disease of the mind of the sheriff's office. When you're enraged, your default position at the sheriff's office, you should be arrested. But your constant thought is, if you watch me, I'll never know who watches me. I don't check the views. I only care about a handful of individuals. You think I'm talking to you at the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office? You're insane. I'm always talking to the United States Department of Justice, the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul, state legislatures in Albany, who I will soon contact. I have not contacted anybody in Albany yet about you and your disgusting, sick existence at that sheriff's office and district attorney's office. And your refusal to answer this question from me about sexual harassment is again validation of your disgusting and sick existence. So here at the sheriff's office, on this page, the disparity in pay between the female employees is a concern as far as a female employee being a true victim of sexual harassment. Because here's Maria Cupp at $41,916. And then there is a female employee. I'm looking for a female employee with a higher salary than Maria Cupp at $41,000 here. And I'm trying to get a disparity that could be $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000. But that Maria Cupp at $41,000 is more likely to be a victim of sexual harassment than someone with a higher salary, like Erica L. Henderson at $83,000. Erica L. Henderson at this $83,000 makes twice as much as Maria Cupp. And this is what I believe, and I could be incorrect. I believe that since this person here makes twice as much as Maria Cupp, as Erica Henderson, if I have that right, You're just empowered at work. The more money you make, the greater seniority you have to fend off sexual harassment. It's just the way it is. So, these are payrolls for the sheriff's office and district attorney's office. I believe that there's sexual harassment victims here. What are the answers? Does Sandra Doorley care? Because she's a female. Sandra Doorley's the district attorney's office. She's not a man. She's not Howard Whelan. There, I believe, since she's a female, should be a heightened awareness about sexual harassment, because perhaps, I don't know, and I will never know, Sandra Doorley has herself been the victim of sexual harassment in the workplace. This happens in every large institution in the United States of America. I say large, perhaps 500 more employees, just because there are more individuals. And if you go to Google and you type Bear Mountain Compact plus Albany, you're going to find out about the way state legislators used to behave. I don't believe this is the case anymore in Albany because I've not been there for a long time. I went to a fundraiser once in Albany during a legislative session. There was about 300 people there, and there was a member of the Senate who was from Western New York, who would be seen frequently with his girlfriend, and he was married. He left his fundraiser for about 30 minutes. And then he came back with this woman that he was in an extramarital affair with, and her dress was on inside out. And me and my fellow staffers laughed about this one. And I had been there, I think, for 2 years at that point, so I'd heard about this. I heard once an old timer who was a speechwriter for Governor Nelson Rockefeller. He told me at the mansion, which is what it's called. You say the mansion, right away, that's the governor. Governor Nelson Rockefeller was married to Happy Rockefeller. So on this night, according to an employee that I work with, in the press office for Senate Majority Rockefeller, who used to work for Governor Rockefeller, Happy Rockefeller was in the mansion. And Governor Nelson Rockefeller is with his girlfriend. And there was a fire in the executive mansion of Governor New York, and the mansion has to be vacated. And out of the mansion, run or go or walk or vacate the wife of Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller and the girlfriend of Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller. Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller died in 1979 because he had a heart attack, and apparently during sex. I think her name is Megan Marshak. And I'm going to just do a quick Google, see if I have that right about Megan Marshak. So it's Megan Marshak has a Wikipedia entry here. And yes, it says here, quote, it had become known that he had been alone with a young woman who worked for him in an undeniably intimate circumstance, and in the course of that evening, he had died from a heart attack. So this is from Joseph E. Persko, who wrote a book about Rockefeller. That's the quote. So Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller had a heart attack, apparently having sex with Megan Marshak. A real tragedy. I'm not going to laugh and mock that because he is a great man. The Empire State Plaza is because of Nelson Rockefeller. The state of New York is the state of New York in so many ways because of the 15 years Nelson A. Rockefeller was governor. I don't care if he's left or right or any of that. This is a great governor for any number of ways, in any number of ways. And there he died in really a humiliating way. A tragedy for him and his family and everybody that loved Nelson A. Rockefeller. So, I'm not aware of any sexual harassment with the former governor. This is when he's out of power. He's on his own time. So, that's not sexual harassment. But it's being in the company of a female when you're a powerful man, and things will happen. Well, I don't care about that because it's a private man, and it's not taxpayer dollars. I care about you psychopaths, the sheriff's office, and the attorney's office, because your entire nauseating, sick existence is tax dollars. So what's the answer? And I'm going to write this again. There's no reason why I'm on here. I'm going to write this again. Every single one of these. I'm going to write this again. I'm just going to open this randomly. The first one here says, this is what I believe can remove you from office, Todd Baxter. You got my private healthcare records. You gave my private healthcare records to $28,000 bald-headed wig-wearing Paul That's from Bedford Court. On January 28th, your office got this. I don't have any contact from you, 620 Park Avenue, PNB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. You don't contact me and say, I don't know what you're talking about. This is the first foil, you Benito Mussolini skinhead. A copy of the private healthcare records delivered to $28,000 Pemberton Court Judge Paul C. Metzer by Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, Monmouth County, in violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. I just read it again. This is in your office. You've received this registered mail return receipt. You receive this in email when I attach it over and over. I think I've attached this in email 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And I'm reading it. I'm telling you. You delivered my healthcare records to this bald-headed, wig-wearing psychopath widow, Paul C. Metzer. Isn't that right? Paul C. Metzer, respond to me. Tell me what the answer is. Paul C. Metzer. Because you, Paul C. Metzer, know what my mother and father know. That I only told my mother and father. And then Sheriff Todd Baxter told you, disgusting, sickening, nauseating hack and cretin. This Paul C. Metzer at one point had total control over my life as one psychopath widow in that little vile room in Pennsylvania Court. And I'm violently attacked by Richard J. Seaman because I talked about that in detail. I'm not going to go into that again. So, sexual harassment destroys the soul. No human being should ever have to put up, withstand, tolerate sexual harassment like $45,000 Cheryl A. Wilcox. Todd Baxter, if you cared about your employees, you would randomly call one or two of your female employees to your office at 130 South Plymouth Avenue just to talk to them. Just without anybody knowing. Just have someone contact Cheryl A. Wilcox. This is how you find out about your animals. You're an animal, Todd Baxter. Cheryl A. Wilcox, if you call $45,000 Cheryl A. Wilcox into your office and said, don't be nervous, and I just want to talk to you. It's just going to be you and me talking, just you and her and nobody else, and asked her about sexual harassment. That's how you show you care about your employees. And Sandra Doorley, your office is a lot smaller than the sheriff's office. So, you know how you care about your employees? Perry Duckles, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So, here's Lisa Howe, H-A-U-G-H, $35,624. I picked this name because it's salary. Sandra Doorley, if you cared about your employees and what happens in your office, you would ask Lisa Howe to come into your office, just you and her. Say, I just want to talk to you about what's going on in the office. You can tell me anything you want, but I particularly want to know about what's commonly called sexual harassment. And you just talk to Lisa Howe. That's how you find out. You don't have to do anything like that because it doesn't matter to you, because the law's a joke to you, because you're criminals, because you're corrupt, because you're psychopaths. So, criminals that are corrupt with psychopaths come to the home of an innocent citizen, demand his dog. I'm not going to talk about this, but I will show this photo of him. When I go to another dog adoption society, a Lollipop Farm in Albany, where I'm going to be moving again soon, I have to move because you just show up and arrest me again. I'm moving because of you. I'm getting out of here, and I better not have any obligations. I'm not aware of any obligations I have with Jamie Bellett or Pretrial Service Corporation or anything else. So if one of you hacks is sociopaths are writing a warrant for me while I'll be followed and stalked and tracked in Rochester, New York, will you arrest me on the side of the road and bring me to the corrupt judge like Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court? You better do it quick because I'm going to be gone soon from 1984. The lunatic Renzi. I've not contacted Lollipop yet about you showing up to my residence, Todd Baxter, and demanding my little gun. This, I have to try to, I always do, and sometimes I fail, trying to control my anger here. This really delivers me to a place where I never thought that I would be, just like not having a copy of my DD-214. I've talked about this before. I had my DD-214 and my 1980 Mercury Capri when I drove home from 2nd Squadron, 17th Cavalry on April 14th, 1988 to Long Island. I do not have the original anymore. When I write the criminal complaint about Anthony Rospano, Fairport, New York, doing this to me and my ex-girlfriend with her assistants, Laura Riley, Webster, New York, it's going to be no arrest. It's going to be nothing. You do not know what constitutes a crime. This freak here that you gave a raise to from $67,000 to $83,000, Shannon Meyer, writing warrant for my arrest for a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. How ridiculous and ludicrous is that? So, ridiculous and ludicrous and insane. What am I going to show? This is private technology at 2025 Penfield Road for a business called Consumer Insights, where Ellie Roth is the president. Or would you buy it and fix it for me? The style, resolution, cover photo. There it is right there. I've been on this thing over and over. Todd Baxter, what's the answer? This is in the United States Department of Justice right now. This document right here, in the person of Trinity Ross. The color photo. Are you going to say you don't know anything? Are you going to exist in I don't know? Are you going to be sheriff I don't know about this? When Grisina Harper sent me the links? Is it private technology at 2025 Penfield Road that belongs to a building called Consumer Insights? You buy it and fix it for me, you being a Mussolini skinhead. The reason why I'm on here, Todd baby, calling you being a Mussolini skinhead, the first time I'm brought to the sheriff's office because of this hack. Everything that's happened to me is because of this nauseating hack. I'm talking about your camera that's a surveillance device that I believe is your camera, demanding if it is your camera or if it's private technology, because of this hack right here that you gave a $16,000 raise to. If she's violating my civil and constitutional right of warrant for my arrest for parking lot walk through 4,000 times, she's going to do this to other citizens. She should never get her 20, this Shannon M. Meyer. So, this is February 16, 2023. This is the link here with her. Sheriff Todd Baxter, $16,000 pay raise, freak. This says answer all around. You can see me talk to my ex-girlfriend about taking every single thing I own to a storage locker in Webster. I sent that to you then. And this is the one where I don't know the grand jury's convened. Isn't that right, Michelle Cry? How many times do I have to tell you this? I'm not going to dwell on this either. Misconduct, chief of the grand jury, Michelle Cry. It's called misconduct because I'm not called to the grand jury and Michael C. Woon perjured himself to the grand jury and then flees. Sheriff Todd Baxter says $155,000 Corey Brown, $163,000 Michael Fowler, Saratoga. How was that explained to control time, speed, and Napoli? How much was the hotel? What was the cost of the trip? What are they doing there? I believe it was the undersheriff's training conference. Why do Michael Fowler and Corey Brown have to be trained outside of Monroe County? And the answer is they're not being trained, and that's a lie. This is a junket. This is Fun City. They're having a good time. I do not know if they went to Saratoga when the meet is not going on. The meet is just about the best time I've ever had in my life. To go to Saratoga, especially to Travis, where Secretariat lost in the Whitney, pardon me, not Travis. Travis is the race at Saratoga. Everybody who lives in Albany County looks forward to the meet at Saratoga. And I've been a horse racing fan since I was in elementary school because my Uncle Tom was a New York City police officer and my grandma in Queens used to take me to Aqueduct Belmont. There is no county in New York that has the beauty, the perfection of Saratoga. And here is Corey Brown and Michael Fowler in Saratoga. And you're refusing to tell me how much this was. I think I may have received some information. I have to double check. Maybe you have. But I'm going to demand more information. I'm going to look at what you sent me about this trip. In fact, you sent me the bill. I'm going to look at it. But I'll have more questions about this. They should never be out of Saratoga. It really doesn't matter what the cost is, even though I'm demanding it. They should always be in Monroe County because that's two less employees you have when real violence is crashing down on the city of Rochester and Monroe County. I was out on Monroe Avenue today. So I walk down to this convenience store and I'm trying to get some exercise too after I run. I run and bike and then I'll go for a walk just to loosen out. I get to Monroe Avenue and I start to walk down to this convenience store. I walk into the convenience store. And a woman comes to the door where I just walked in this convenience store. And she starts to scream at me And it's total incoherence. And then another man who's with her in a car comes, and these two are both screaming at me at this convenience store on Monterey Avenue. I don't know what's going on. I walked over there, walked to the convenience store, and this is the freak show of Rochester, New York. This is why Rochester, New York is a city of freaks. I'm looking at this woman, this overweight woman with her fellow psychopaths standing in this door of this convenience store on Monterey Avenue screaming at me. And I turned to the clerk. I said, call the police. I don't know what's going on here. And when I said call the police, they ran away from the door at the convenience store. And so I stood there. I looked at them run away. And then I exited the convenience store. And then when I exited the convenience store, I walked about 50 yards and I heard them screaming at me from the convenience store. I have no idea who these people are. I have no idea why they're following the convenience store, why this overweight woman is about 200 pounds and her idiot boyfriend or friend or husband is screaming at me. This is why Rochester, New York is a city of freaks. I lived in Washington, D.C. for 5 years, Albany, New York for 5 years. 10 years of my life I lived in the city. Nothing like that has ever happened to me. I used to go to a convenience store where I lived on C Street at 11, 12 o'clock at night in Washington, D.C. I didn't have any fear on the hill. I'd walk all over Albany at night like that to the convenience stores where I lived, right off of Washington Avenue. Washington Avenue connects to SUNY and the Capitol all the time. I will not go out at night in Rochester, New York. This is your Rochester, New York. Because of what I'm explaining to you right now. This is why Rochester, New York is a city of freaks. What happened to me just today. And since Rochester, New York is a city of freaks, what I had on my belt, I'm not unprepared for people like this, is this. This is on my belt here. If I would have left, these two would have placed their hands on me when I'm running away. I was almost running away from them. If the hands would have went on to me, there's a violent confrontation while being attacked, I would have taken this off my belt loop and I would use it on both of them. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why these people screaming. I'm going to contact this convenience store owner. I'm going to tell him, thank you. He really helped me. He really did. And this is what's going on. Now, the reason why this happens, you psychopaths, the sheriff's office, is because Mayor Malik Evans does not have his City of Rochester police officers on foot. That's why this happens. If the police are walking down Monroe Avenue on foot, if the police are walking down East Main Street on foot, the police are walking up and down South Clinton Avenue on foot, the police are walking up and down Elmwood Avenue on foot, if the police are on Avenue D near Big Mama Rose Groceries, then these psychopath criminals are not going to be outside being psychopath criminals. So, what are the names of my prosecutors? Perry Duckles. What are the names of my prosecutors? Mark Monahan. Over and over and over. I demanded from you right here, Perry Duckles, on this January 1. I told you I sent you a 61-page Freedom of Information Law document. Print each, bring it to your corrupt boss. Sandra tells public accumulation of health flicks to send the information to the UPS address list below. Includes the names of my prosecutor's silence. And you refused. So the district attorney's office payroll here, public employee Sandra Doorley, $210,000. So Aaron Richardson, $40,449. Are you Aaron Richardson being sexually harassed in Monroe County District Attorney's Office? Sandra Doorley. Do you know other females are being sexually harassed? $40,000. Aaron Richardson at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. So here's the public employee payroll for the sheriff's office. And this is Lois A. Long, $40,621. Are you Lois A. Long being sexually harassed in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office with Todd Baxter? Todd Baxter, call Lois Long into your office and ask to speak with her confidentially. Then you'll know what's going on with Animal House, the sheriff's office. Then you'll know if there's sexual harassment going on. Because perhaps she doesn't know, Lois Long, what's happening. But female employees will talk, and female employees will confide in each other what they won't necessarily say to a man, as I repeat myself. Isn't that right, Kara Gillenfeld? $51,000. This is the disparity of your payrolls. You got Corey K. Brown, 155, 36664. Right above him is Kara Gillenfeld. That disparity, that $100,000 disparity, is why there are sexual harassment victims in the workplace throughout the United States of America. Because if there's a female employee that makes $155,000, that female employee is empowered to protect herself from a psychopath sexual predator, unlike a $51,000 employee. So here is an envelope I have from this bald-headed, wig-wearing widow, Paul C. Metzer. I didn't open it. I don't know if I'll ever open this because I'll get physically nauseous. So what's in here? Is you telling me you want to send me to jail as one person, you want to keep me in jail as long as you want, quote, the judge is holding you? How is that explained to the Office of Court Administration, Paul C. Metzer? I walked in Penfield Public Library. I'm stalked by Richard J. Seaton. He violently attacks me, slams me in the head with his arm. Take me down the hallway, frog march me in Penfield Public Library. There you are waiting for me. The district attorney's office is not notified. You declare me guilty of something, and I'm driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. If I was to open this, I'd have to think about your bald head, Paul C. Metzer, and that's what I'm not going to do. I probably will never open this. Open your mail from me. Because I'm a free man who's a private citizen, and you're a $28,000 taxpayer finance psychopath. Paul C. Metzer. Fired as Shannon Meyer, Todd Baxter. I'm going to update this here. This is the warrant for my arrest. So walk through the parking lot. It's dark here, but you have this in your office. The warrant for my arrest, walk through the parking lot, I walked through 4,000 times. In 2019, there were fireworks at Harriswell Park. There were events at Penfield High School. 200 to 500 people throughout the day and after the fireworks walked through this parking lot. If it's a crime to walk through this parking lot next to where I used to live, where I've held up the photo over and over and over, every single one of these citizens leaving the fireworks in Harriswell Park should have been arrested. No one was arrested. You want me to take fringe of you with that sheriff's office? Every now and again, you get to be part of justice being done. And that's really quite a thrill when that happens. Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. I'm hoping I could be part of justice being done because I'm an innocent man. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York.